Two men, two completely opposite stories. One of them is lying to the entire world right now, and the consequences of which one is lying will determine whether this war ends this week or explodes into something nobody is prepared for. Man 1, Donald J. Trump. This morning, before boarding Air Force One at Palm Beach International Airport, he stood in front of reporters and said the United States and Iran have had over the last 2 days very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of hostilities in the Middle East. He said there are 15 points of agreement already on the table. He said Iran called him, he did not call Iran. He said Iran wants to make a deal badly. He said Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner met with Iranian officials as recently as Sunday night. He said a deal could happen within 5 days. And then he said the sentence that tells you everything. If we cannot make a deal, we will just keep bombing our little hearts out. Man 2, Iran's foreign ministry. Within 2 hours of Trump's statement, Iran's official spokesman stood at his own podium and said Trump's claims of negotiations are inaccurate. There are no talks underway. Iran has not sent any representatives to meet with American envoys. He said Trump is trying to calm the energy markets with false statements about diplomacy that does not exist. Two men, two statements made within 2 hours of each other on the same morning about the same alleged negotiations, and they cannot both be true. This is day 23. The most important question in the world right now is not who is winning the military campaign. It is who is lying about the peace talks, because the answer determines whether the Strait of Hormuz opens this week and whether more Americans come home alive or in flag-draped coffins. Trump said on Monday that the United States and Iran have held discussions on ending the war and identified major points of agreement. He claims the talks led him to postpone strikes on Iranian power plants. Iran's foreign ministry denies any talks, calling the claims inaccurate. Trump says US representatives included Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and warns that if diplomacy fails, the US will just keep bombing. Trump asserts there are 15 points of agreement, including Iran accepting no nuclear weapons. He says the U.S. has discussed leadership options for Iran, including possible joint leadership. Trump adds he wants as much oil in the system as possible as Treasury eases sanctions on stranded Iranian crude. He says he has not heard from new Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei and is unsure of his status. Stop at that last sentence. The President of the United States says he is unsure of the status of the man whose country he is negotiating with. That detail is not a small footnote. That is a flashing red light. Trump told CNBC that Iran wants to make a deal badly and that discussions with Iranian authorities had been very intense. He remains hopeful something very substantive can be achieved. He also insisted that what is unfolding in Iran can be described as regime change. Very intense discussions and regime change in the same breath. Trump is simultaneously saying he is negotiating a peace deal with Iran and describing the outcome as regime change. Regime change means replacing the government. You cannot negotiate a deal with a government you are simultaneously trying to replace unless the deal is about the terms of that replacement. And if that is what is being discussed, that is not a ceasefire, that is a surrender document. Now let me give you what actually happened on the ground before Trump made his announcement. Trump walked back his threat to strike Iran's power plants on Monday, citing productive negotiations. Iran denied any such talks and claimed Trump was just trying to calm the energy markets. Trump gave Iran an ultimatum to reopen the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours or face massive attacks. Iran threatened to strike power plants across Israel and the Gulf if Trump followed through. Markets wobbled as dramatic escalation appeared imminent. After Trump reversed course, US stock futures surged and oil prices fell. Wall Street rose, oil fell. The markets moved billions of dollars on Trump's words. Whether those words are true or not, the financial world believed them enough to trade on them. And that creates a problem. Because if Trump is exaggerating the talks to calm markets and the 5 days expire with no deal, markets will crash harder. Then they rose. Here is what the back channels actually confirm. Trump's envoys Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff are involved in discussions around potential diplomacy. But there has been no direct contact between the U.S. and Iran in recent days. Egypt, Qatar, and the U.K. have all passed messages between the two. Egypt and Qatar have informed the U.S. and Israel that Iran is interested in negotiating, but with very tough terms. The Iranian demands include a ceasefire, guarantees that the war will not resume in the future, and compensation. Compensation from the country that bombed them. That is the real state of the talks that Trump called very good and productive and Iran called non-existent. A meeting in Islamabad is being organized with Iranian officials and Witkoff, Kushner, and possibly Vice President Vance representing the U.S. possibly later this week. Israel did not know things were moving that fast. America's Closest partner in this war, the country that planned the opening strikes with Trump for a full year, found out from Trump's Truth Social post the same way the rest of the world found out. Netanyahu says there must not be a bad agreement with Iran. That is his red line, stated publicly on the same morning Trump announced 15 points of agreement. No nuclear program, no enrichment, no missiles, no proxies. Those are not 15 points of agreement. Those are 4 conditions Iran has refused to accept for 40 years. Now let me give you the Witkoff story, because this man is at the center of both the failed peace talks before the war and the alleged new peace talks now. Steve Witkoff told Sean Hannity the day the war began there is almost no stopping them. They have an endless supply of enriched uranium. He told reporters 7 days into the conflict, they told me and Jared, we are not going to give you diplomatically what you could not take militarily. Witkoff and Kushner reportedly told the White House on the eve of the campaign that Iran was simply using talks to buy time, a conclusion that factored into Trump's decision to greenlight the operation. But third parties present at the Geneva negotiations say Witkoff's claim that Iranians boasted about having enough enriched uranium for 11 nuclear bombs simply never happened. The Iranians were instead trying to say all of this material can go away should we have a deal. The man who started this war by telling Trump that Iran could not be negotiated with is now the man Trump is sending to negotiate with Iran. A Gulf diplomat alleged that U.S. intermediaries Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner were acting in Israeli interests to pressure the United States into a military confrontation. The men Trump sent to make peace helped make war instead, and those same men are now being sent back to make peace again. Now let me give you the 5-day window in specific terms. The USS Tripoli, the amphibious assault ship carrying 2,500 Marines, will be in position by Friday. The 5-day diplomatic window ends on Friday or Saturday, and if there is no deal by the time the Tripoli arrives, the next target shifts from power plants to Kharg Island. Kharg Island handles 90% of Iran's oil exports. Its destruction would take Iran's economy to zero overnight and push global oil to $150 per barrel. 5 days, Islamabad meeting, 15 points of agreement according to Trump. No talks according to Iran, USS Tripoli arriving Friday. Kharg Island next if talks fail. Here is what the deal itself would actually require. America wants the Strait of Hormuz open, the nuclear program gone, missiles gone, proxies gone. Iran wants a ceasefire, a guarantee of no future war, and compensation for the destruction of its cities, its infrastructure, and 1,400 of its citizens. Those two positions are not 15 points apart. They are a chasm apart. This war has cost America over $23 billion in 23 days. It has cost the global economy $600 million per day in lost Middle East tourism alone. It has pushed oil 40% higher than it was on February 27th. It has killed 1,400 Iranians, 800 Lebanese, 12 Israeli civilians, and 14 American soldiers. Trump needs a deal. His economy needs a deal. His midterm elections 8 months away need a deal. And Iran, whose cities are rubble, whose oil revenues have gone to zero, and whose military has been degraded by 5,500 strikes, also needs some version of a deal, even if it will not say so out loud. 5 days. That is the window. If Witkoff and Kushner can build on the message passing through Egypt, Qatar, Pakistan, and Turkey and produce something that both sides can call victory in their own language, this war ends. If they fail, Trump said the words himself, we will just keep bombing our little hearts out.